Let's get into the headlines now and see what the papers are saying in Nigeria today, this morning. Really interesting headlines from across various papers. Now, let's see. And we have with us from the University of Lagos, Dr. Dan Ekere, and a lawyer, a public affairs analyst, Jide Ologun. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, let's see what we'll start with the Daily Times. The Daily Times this morning is saying on presidential election, I scored over 18.8 million votes against Buhari's 16.7 million. Atiku is reported to be saying that. Ex-VP PDP hallucinating, suffering post-election depression, says APC, and PDP drags Justice Inyang to NJC for halting Bauchi governorship result collation. And that's the Daily Times. From there, let's go to the Vanguard now. Vanguard is saying PDP Atiku in post-election trauma depression. APC is saying that and has some multiple riders there saying that PDP's prayers at tribunal at best hollow, ridiculous. APC is saying that, and PDP didn't have a plan B, just wanted to rig the election. Keyamo is saying that, and will reclaim our stolen mandate through the courts. PDP is saying that. So it's a back and forth in political spheres. From the Vanguard, let's go to the Punch. Still on fallout from the elections. Runoffs. Abdulsalami panel meets parties. INEC police tighten security. And PDP petitions NJC over judge's ruling on Bauchi results collation. All right, from the Punch, let's go to the Nation now. The Nation is saying presidency spanks PDP for threatening to stop Buhari. Opposition says it may seek court's order to block inauguration. Okay, and from the Nation, let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust is saying Northeast and North Central battle for Senate presidency. PDP plot to retain Deputy Senate President. Okay, that's what the Daily Trust is reporting this morning. And from there, let's go to the presidential election. Daily Sun, rather. Daily Sun is saying on presidential election, Atiku APC exchange fire. And court will restore my stolen mandate, says PDP candidate. You are suffering depression over defeat. APC hits back. A ruling party's victory will be short-lived. Saraki is saying that. From Daily Sun, let's go to the Business Day now. That's the last one for the day. New 30,000 naira minimum wage means renewed stress on federal government and states' finances. Weak economy means firms likely to lay off than pay. Okay. Interesting headlines from all the papers this morning. But gentlemen, let's move. Let me bring you to what the Sun is saying on page 3, the Daily Sun. Let's see what that headline says this morning. I like to draw your attention to Daily Sun. Where are you? Where are you? Where is Daily Sun? Aha, good. Daily Sun on page 3 saying 30,000 naira minimum wage. Federal government must discuss VAT hike with stakeholders. Labour is saying that. Now, there is a plan to increase value-added tax so that they can fund the 30,000 naira minimum wage, but the Labour is saying you can't just do that. Are we looking forward to another face-off between the federal government and Labour? Jide, let me start with you on this.
Already, Nigerians pay value-added tax, and the argument is that it's even higher in some countries, for example, in Ghana. And if we are going to increase, do we have the same business environment, the same level of economy
standard
that is
of
available in Ghana? So I think we should focus more on revenue drive and energizing the economy in a way that even if we eventually decide to revert the minimum wage, it will be a living wage. Because if on one hand you are increasing the minimum wage to 30,000, and of course, the purchasing power is being eroded on the other, it may create more crisis because whether we like it or not, inflation will step on the stage. So I think we should look at the economy at a holistic level. Can we focus on the diversification, create a secure environment to drive prosperity? Can we look at the resources we have now? How do we manage them? At a time in this country, we relied so much on agriculture. Can we look at all this rather
avenues,
than
even solid minerals,
on putting more burden
okay.
on the people? So
right.
let's look at. I think that will help us better.
Dr. Ekere, looking at the revenue sources for the federal government, the Federal Inland Revenue and the customs, oil, returns on investment. There was a report recently that said that Nigeria yearly generates nothing less than about 12 to 15 trillion naira. And our budget is just a range of 8-9 million. If we have that really, 8-9 trillion rather. If we have that really in the differentials, why is the government struggling so much to keep up?
Well, that is part of the government magic that I don't really understand, because you hear FIRS telling you they've generated over 6.something trillion. You have a budget of 8.something trillion, and here the government is running helter-skelter looking for funds to borrow and all the rest. So sometimes you begin to wonder, is there something going on somewhere that we are not aware of? Because if I have such an amount of money and all that is left is this, and there are other sources, it's a question of exploring those sources. But much of the time you hear government is borrowing this, government is borrowing that. I don't know if the borrowed funds are the ones that they are saying they have generated. I really don't know. So it's really shocking. But now, I remember some time ago, Olisa Agbakoba told us that even from the ports alone, you can make as much as 7 trillion or so. Now, you've not bothered about exploring this kind of options. How do we generate this kind of money from this angle? It's a question of engaging, people who have ideas to see how you can. Then, coming to the issue of diversification, so much has been said about, agriculture, and truly it was the mainstay of our economy at a point.
In fact, like I said before some time, our national flag, the green, white, green, was the green part of our flag was out of the agriculture that we were known
the green
for.
economy. Yeah, but now you find a scenario where so much is being said about how much we are now producing in terms of rice and all the rest. Yeah, I remember some time ago, Chief Audu Ogbe even went as far as exporting yam. And here the people are hungry. We don't find yam to eat. You are exporting. Just to create a scenario that so much is being. So we really need to be clear. When government is not sincere, when government is not transparent, when it is not open, people find it difficult to even provide solution to challenges.
All right. It seems there's a lot of burden on the government as to how to generate revenue. They're trying their best and all of that, but I wonder what the people can do, the private sector, in order to create robust revenue for government and the people and Nigerians themselves. But let's move to something else now. Business Day. On page 28 of Business Day, stakeholders express apprehension over gas flare commercialization program. Now, there is the fear or there is the concern as to how to get the gas out of the remote areas that they are being flared. Jide?
Gas need is always there. In fact, Nigeria can meet the gas need of Africa. But what have we invested to operate at the secondary level? As we speak, we still flare this gas. And it brings us to the synergy between resources and resourcefulness. The countries who have excelled so much in managing their resources, how have they achieved that? So I was disturbed to read how much refineries is losing, how much NNPC is losing. We spend about 1.4 trillion annually on subsidy. It shouldn't be a narrative concerning Nigeria, and that talks about the management process. If we have serious concern on the obvious mismanagement of our resources, then what do we do?
All right. Now,
to re-engineer it.
Okay. Dr. Kere, over 50 years of oil exploration and sale and all of that, now Nigeria is talking about looking for ways of putting a gauge on the measurement of how much oil every drop, so you can measure all the drop of oil from here, something that a lot of the countries are doing. But when it comes to the issue of gas flaring, I wonder what you see as the future of this, measuring it to ensure that there's value for money so that it is not the same way as the crude oil.
Yeah, thank you. Well, the first thing is that we must ensure that this gas that is being wasted through flaring is stopped. And I do know that a few years ago, there were a lot of efforts to ensure that this thing was actually in the board. But at the end of the day, the kind of regulations you put in place, when these companies have flared this gas, look at those regulations and the penalties, for them, it appears more profitable to continue to flare the gas. So you've practically not done anything to stop it. With respect to even measuring, as we speak, we don't even know the quantum of oil that we actually generate, we produce. perhaps you might get the one that is exported, but at the point of production, we don't, and a lot of these oil companies are not even sincere not to tell the oil producing
complain
communities.
of leakages here and there.
All manner of
That's,
leakages.
that has to be blocked. We have to thank you. We'll leave you here now. Thank you very much, Dr. Danekere. Thank you for coming. Jide Logun, thank you so much.
Yeah.